Good morning, bonjour, buenos dias, guten morgen, gomorren, and I think finally, if I can get the pronunciation correct, how do we say that? Dzień dobry. So I'm going to be talking about e-commerce content marketing, and I know that this is an email marketing day, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of crossover with what I'm about to explain with what you guys are doing. So let's just start. If you're an e-commerce business, the rules are pretty simple. You just want to sell more of your stuff to more people more of the time, and usually it starts off with search. And really, search is changing. It's changing very rapidly. We've gone from 2 hands to 1 hand, and now kind of no hands. So we really are starting to speak to the machines. And interesting enough, I was reading a book recently. The author spoke to the founders of Google. This was back in sort of 1999, 2000, and he asked the question, how can you build a business out of search, which now seems like a ridiculous question, but their answer was quite revealing, because they said, we're not building a search engine, we're building artificial intelligence. And each time that the algorithms get updated, that's gradually what they're moving towards. It does feel a bit like sometimes an arms race between Google and the sort of SEO spammers. But that's really what's happening, and we are starting to speak to the machines now. And verbal search is totally different from written search, and I think that's a key message to get across. So the old style of marketing your business, it just isn't cutting it these days. So if you're familiar with if any of you are familiar with SEO, you've probably seen this kind of thing in the past, link wheels and building these, let's build a Squidoo page and all these sort of Web 2 properties and start linking to all these other ones and link back to our website. Google won't notice. Well, they are noticing. They're starting to pick up on this. It's becoming much, much more sophisticated. And that's where content marketing comes in. Content marketing, it's the sweet spot, and it really hits it. It's the point where all of these sort of different practices converge. So SEO, blogging, list building, for email marketing, social media, and even paid search. And I think the part of the problem is that there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of conflicting messages about what's right and what's wrong. So what I've done is I've created we've done a definitive guide to e-commerce content marketing. There's a lot going on there. I know there's a lot of moving parts, but it's a system, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And we're going to be I'm just going to walk you through step by step exactly what it is, what we do, and how you can get results from it. But before we do that, I know there's a couple of really burning, important questions that you've all got at the front of your minds, and the first of them is, just who the heck is Tony Messer? Well, I run a web hosting business, Pickaweb, and a couple of other web hosting businesses. We've got Wiz Hosting, which focuses on SMEs and startups. I'm also an author. I've written a 5-star rated Amazon book. Most of you have got a copy of that. If you haven't, just get in contact with me and I'll be happy to send you a copy over of that. That's called The Lazy Website Syndrome. I've got regular columns in Entrepreneur, Business. I write for Global Sign and also get featured regularly in Search Engine Journal. And really the key point is that I run a business and I do this stuff for my business. I'm not here trying to sell you a service or anything like this. I'm just going to show you what's working for our business, okay? So that's the first question. Second question is, does this stuff actually work? Well, this is taken from SEMrush. This is a publicly available tool. You can go and check it yourself. And whilst the figures aren't exact, the trend is correct, and the trend is my friend. We are seeing an exponential rise in our traffic, and I say that's why I just wanted to help you guys out, give you some ideas, show you what we're doing, show you what works for us and how we do it. So starting point is you're going to need a buyer persona, and this is kind of marketing 101, step 1. Not going to spend too much time on it. You need to think, are you B2B, B2C? Understand their gender, maybe give them a fictional name, what's their background, hobbies, interests, objectives, biggest fears, those kind of things. And what I would say is don't spend too much time on this. It's a very important step, but I know that a lot of people will, I've got to hit my buyer persona, I'm going to spend weeks, days, or months getting it all ready. Just get it down on paper. You can always move on and create new ones and tweak them as you go. I've got a bias for action. I like to see things happening. You can even do multiple ones. We're a hosting business, so we'll have home users, we'll have small businesses, we'll have a go heroes that want to build their own website, we'll have developers, we'll have IT professionals who need the VPS and the dedicated server. So we've got the whole range. So we haven't just got one buyer persona. Then we've got a customer journey, and I think the simplest way to think of this is awareness. Who are we? What do we do? Make people aware of us. Consideration. This is really the classic sort of marketing funnel. So it's much easier to get people in at the top, work on them, email 6 to 8 points before they make a purchase, and then the decision point. And that's what content marketing is about. And you can identify these points and create content around them. So 2 types of content I'd like us to think about, and which we do: authority content and conversion content. The beauty of authority content is you're looking to build leadership, develop relationships, capture leads, get backlinks, all of these really good things, and that's the type of content we'll be looking at in a moment for authority. And then when it comes to conversion, sometimes I think people will think that conversion content is the less sexy side of content marketing. But if I'm given 1,000 interested visitors versus 10,000 non-engaged visitors, I know which one which I would prefer. So I'd much rather go for engaged people on the website who are looking at content that we've created, are seeing us as experts, and that's where this content conversion comes in. The first step is really to start identifying influence. Before you even create your content, you've got your buyer persona, you've thought about how you're going to take them through the funnel. You need to think about identifying influencers. And there's various tools you can use for this. Ninja Outreach is a great tool. A guy called Mark Sams, he runs that. He's a really nice guy, really approachable. Thoroughly recommend that tool. BuzzStream, BuzzSumo, they're bigger players, great tools as well. Or you can do it manually. There's websites like AllTop where you can find these kind of influencers. Well, they're blogs mainly. And when we talk about an influencer, we're not necessarily talking about Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins or Richard Branson. Basically it's someone who's got a blog, someone who's got an audience. They may have a business or a blog in a complementary, non-competing niche. Just basically, these are people who get it. They understand what you're trying to do. They want to be doing it as well, and you can build relationships with them. You can use tools like Feedly, for example, sign up to their blogs, just start getting on people's radars, putting comments on people's blogs, following them, just basically interacting with them usually helps. And look for the up and coming bloggers. People like Neil Patel. He was starting out once. He was on his way up. Brian Dean, and you can look out for them and find them. They are out there. They definitely are. And I think the point there, the final point is identify them and support them. Help promote their content. Comment on their blogs. Get to know them and introduce yourself to them. So, in terms of authority content, these are the best that I think you can be doing. And these are proven frameworks. So we're looking at definitive guides, guest blogging, list-based content, expert roundups, comparison content, and infographics. So let's have a look at these. Definitive guides. I love definitive guides, between 5,000 to 20,000 words. It is heavyweight content, but someone needs to be the voice of your industry, and it might as well be you. There's no reason. Somebody needs to claim that position. And when you do create it, reference your influencers. Make sure that you include them as well where relevant. And I've got a customer, for example, Tom. He's set up an online schooling business, online learning. It's going to be that's a massive future industry. And we looked at his competitors. None of them are creating anywhere near that sort of content. So I said, look, Tom, you need to create the definitive guide to homeschooling. Because that's what people are interested in. My child's been excluded, my child's being bullied, we're travelling, all these questions. And if you think 5,000 to 20,000 words is difficult, it really isn't. The way to do it, I'd recommend, is start with your table of contents, just think through a logical structure and think to yourself, right, I've got 10 or 12 points there for each 10 or 12 chapters there for my guide. You create a blog post, 1 or 2 per week, 1,000 words, 1,500 words. You can knock out 1,000, 1,500 words in 45 minutes, no problem. I count the number of words that I write. I'm a bit of a saddo from that perspective. I can do 8,500 words a day on some days. So you just get stuck into it. It's all up there. You just got to get it from up there to out there, okay? So, as I say, I love definitive guides, and they're not that difficult to produce. And once you've got your 12 blog posts, you can then just package it up into a nice PDF. You can create some slides. You've got all sorts of ways of repurposing it. Guest blogging. The death of guest blogging has been greatly exaggerated. It's still around, but not that type of guest blogging where you're trying to get into guestblogforyou.com, guestbloglinktome.com, that kind of rubbish. You just need to find out these genuine companies, these genuine bloggers who will still accept, and there's a ton of them out there that will accept guest blogs from you. Yeah, sometimes they might say, well, yeah, we'll put we'll link back to you in the author bio. But a lot of the time they will allow you to feature and link back to your content from the actual content itself. And you can get regular gigs sometimes. You know, I'm writing for Word Tracker, and Edith says to me, look, Tony, just send us over 1 a month. I write for Global Sign, 1 or 2 a month. These are great websites, really bang on in terms of relevance. So the beauty here is you're dealing with real audiences. You can showcase your expertise. And you can repurpose your best content. If you've written a definitive guide, it's a foot in the door, and you can just provide a summary of it, a précis of it, and write 1,500 words blog post for them. So yeah, great technique, guest blogging. List-based content, we seem to be hardwired for lists. People love lists. And whilst I wouldn't base my entire content strategy around it, I do think it definitely has a place in there. So these are the kind of 10 best ways to achieve Y outcome. And the headline is important there. As I say, they're quite frivolous, they can be a bit throwaway, but people do like them, and they do get linked to, and they do get found, they do get picked up in search. Expert roundup, this is crowdsourced content really. Think of a question, quite a narrow question, put it out to your experts once you've built relationships with people, and get them to create the content for you. It's a great way to strengthen relationships, and it helps to get in front of a new audience, because the first thing they're going to do is go bang on the share button or send it out to their email list, hey, I've been featured in this list. So we've done stuff, for example, we wrote a guide on local SEO, local business, how to market your local business, created a nice infographic. That infographic helps me to get my foot in the door with some influential people. Yeah, nice graphic, Tony, really like that. Okay, would you like to, contribute? So I just asked them a couple of questions, or a question. They get back to me. I've had hundreds and hundreds of shares from that, loads of links back to it. It's a really fast way to generate really good content. NB at the bottom there, don't abuse those relationships. Again, it's not something to build your entire strategy around, but it is in there as part of the mix. So definitely would include that there. Just don't keep hitting on people every month. I've got another, crowdsourced piece or whatever. Comparison content, another one that I really, really love, especially for e-commerce. People are busy. People haven't got time to research all of the options. So you're helping them to compare options. We've done, for example, shared hosting versus reseller hosting versus VPS versus dedicated. We've done DIY website builder versus WordPress versus Joomla versus Drupal versus Magento, etc. So you can just compare as many as you want. It could be, Apple versus Samsung or whatever, and people see you as a trusted, impartial expert. Infographics, kind of a bit overcooked these days. And I know, I look at some infographics and I think, what's going on here? There's just a big jumble of figures. And you think, what is the point they're trying to make? And I think the best ones that I've seen are ones where pick one main argument and then just support that with 10 to 12 facts. Otherwise, it can just become a bit of a jumble. But infographics definitely still in there. So that's authority content. Let's look at conversion frameworks. So things like how-to guides, buyer's guides, video, and case studies. So how-to guide, I think if you're really stuck and you just don't know where to start with a how-to guide. It's an evergreen format. They're very, very easy to create. You just pick a subject that you're an expert in. You know, it's most of it is going to be up there. If it's not up there, it's on your hard drive, it's in your outbox, and all you've got to do is just pull that together. Buyer's guides, again, a really nice type of content. You can set the benchmark here. And you're helping people just to make an informed decision. You're just taking them through those step-by-step points. Now, bearing in mind, this is for, you know, I'm writing this specifically or presenting this based on e-commerce. If you've got a buyer's guide on your product pages or on your main pages, people are going to head to them, they're going to start reading them, they're going to download them, and all of a sudden they're going to other people's websites, but they keep coming back to your guide, your buyer's guide. So they're really, really easy to create. Just think about all the conversations you've had with people, all the emails that you've sent out. It's up there, just get it from up there to out there. All right? Video, yeah. I mean, it's just crazy, you know, the options that you've got there. You know, when I first started seeing unboxing videos, it's like, you know, do people watch that? And you look at the numbers, and it's like, wow, it's just incredible. And these are like 12-year-olds doing it. You know, it's amazing. If you've got product, unbox it, get it on video, show the different options, show the different angles. It's a bit like, you know, sort of these shopping channels on TV. You think, how long can you describe a product for? But they keep going, you know, 15 minutes later, turning it round. So definitely unboxing. If you haven't got product, you can maybe do whiteboard videos. If you're camera shy, there's a product called jing.com. It's free to download. It lets you do 5-minute videos. It's so easy to use, so you can, you know, video your presentation or whatever it may be. And also video to complement the content you've created already. So just repurposing your how-to guides, your buyer's guides, that type of thing, anything. So definitely video fits in there as well. And I'm probably guilty as anybody of not doing that, but that's part of my plan going forward, to definitely be creating much, much more video. Case studies, it would be great if everyone believed what we said of ourselves, and sometimes testimonials and other user-generated content can look a little bit contrived, but a case study, you're telling a classic story before, during and after, and it's a really, really good way to build confidence and demonstrate that you can deliver what you say that you can deliver. And obviously start with your best clients. You don't want the ones who, you know, you think might be shoplifting from you. You know, find the ones who give you the 5 stars. Find the ones who you know on a first name basis. Just reach out to them and just ask them those questions. What was life like before? What happened during? And what's life like after? And bearing in mind, customers, they speak a completely different language to us. No copywriter could ever, you know, come up with the quality that a customer does. It's pure sold gold. The more you speak to your customers, the more you get that feedback. It's absolutely fantastic. So those are the different types of content. We looked at authority and conversion. Content calendar. You know, once you start creating content, believe you me, you're going to start finding that you know, you've got your day job to do. You're going to start finding things start falling off, as it were. You need to stay organised. It's really difficult to lose focus, especially if you're working with teams. If you've got copywriters or graphic designers or whatever, it's important that you stay really organised. You can do it on Google Docs, but if you use a tool, for example, something like CoSchedule, if you do have that kind of budget, and it's not that expensive, but you know, I know tools can start mounting up, but CoSchedule is a really good one for helping you to plan your content. If you've got seasonal events, put those in the calendar. Do give enough time to make sure that you actually hit those deadlines. You don't want your Christmas stuff ready on the 3rd of January because you had to wait for some graphics. And also for the outreach. I'll come on to outreach in a minute, but do give time for the graphics. Which brings me rather nicely, I thought, onto content visuals, and they're not a bolt-on extra. You don't just sort of think, oh yeah, I'll just find a little image. Maybe you can for blog posts, but if you're putting time into creating a really nice piece of content, you know, bake it in from the beginning. Give yourself time and the budget to do it. You know, 70 to 80% of social media posts these days include some sort of visual element. I mean, notwithstanding Instagram, which is like 100%. But it could be photos, infographics, data insights, PDFs, whatever it may be. You know, text is just boring. Visuals are much, much more share-worthy, and people just like to consume their content in different ways these days. If you don't know where to start in terms of visuals, go to someone like 99 Designs, or just hit on Upwork or Guru, one of these outsourcing sites, and you'll find some really great content. The guys that do my stuff, if you go on our blog and look at some of the graphics that we do, some beautiful stuff, I think. Anyway, you know, if you want to know who our suppliers are, then just let me know, and I'll point you in their direction. Before you hit the publish button, make sure you're optimizing it, and these are just the basics. This should be for every page on your website. So make sure you've got your keywords, your meta tags, keywords in first and last sentence. Make sure your URLs are keyword friendly, SEO friendly, linking to external authority sites. Optimize your images. Make sure you're including your social buttons. Check mobile friendliness. Check your load speed as well. We're a hosting business. We like to see nice, fast websites. If you can get onto something like SSD hosting, your website's absolutely going to fly. That wasn't a pitch, by the way. I wouldn't sneak one of those in. Then we're on to outreach and promotion. And really, you know, you need to think about outreach. This is what I was talking about, building that list of contacts, those influencers, before you even start creating your content. Think about that first. And there's a guy called Derek Halpern who runs a website called Social Triggers, and he says, you know, it's 80% promotion versus 20% content creation. So you need to sort of flip things on their head. You're going to be spending, you know, if you are going to spend time creating content, you need to also allocate plenty of time for promoting it and marketing it. Obviously, your own channels, things like your email list, your subscribers, people that have signed up for your blog, your social media channels, even your team. If you've got a larger team, make sure that your team are getting it out to their contacts as well. And this is really your influencers, the people who you've been working with to help promote your content. You know, the way you need to think about it is, I've just created. I'm an old boy, you know, I used to buy albums and singles, you know, but, you know, you just think about a band, they've created an album, they need to take it on the road, they need to promote it, and that's what you're doing here. Create your content, take it on a road show. And you can use tools like Ninja Outreach. If you just use email, fine, no problem, but if you want to, you know, sort of put it on steroids, use something like Ninja Outreach, put that list of people in there and just start reaching out to them. Use LinkedIn as well, that's another one. If you're B2B, definitely use LinkedIn. And then, you know, if you want to use that sort of content to drive people through your paid campaigns, whether that's pay-per-click or paid social or remarketing or whatever. Repurposing content. You know, content is expensive. It's time-consuming to create, and therefore, you know, you really need to make use of that sort of brain trust and make it much more cost-effective. And also, different audiences have got different preferences. Not everyone's going to like a document. Some people, or, you know, a blog post. Some people are PDF addicts. Some people just prefer videos. There's webinars. Podcasts, again, it's another great way of repurposing your content. Easy to generate, easy to create, very cheap. You can just sit at your PC or whatever and just record it, the latest post that you've done. And podcast is having a real renaissance. And then things like SlideShare and obviously video, YouTube. Rescheduling your content. Don't just think, you know, publish and that's it, forgotten. Keep it going. You know, one day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months after publish. Keep promoting that content. You're going to get plenty of future action out of it. You can use tools again like CoSchedule, which will just help you to achieve that. So that's it. Let's just have a quick wrap up. Online marketing is changing. Artificial intelligence is on the way. Okay, the intelligence. It respects authority. That's what it's looking for. That's what Google wants these days. And the winners are going to be the ones who can leverage their knowledge from their business and become the leaders in their market. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are some tried and tested content frameworks, whether that's for authority or for conversion. Make sure that you include your content visuals. Look to be building relationships. You're not just hitting up on people, hey, promote my content, link back to me. You want to create an ongoing, long-term relationship with these other businesses and bloggers. Keep promoting your content after go live. Don't just publish and forget, and then make sure that you do repurpose it. Okay, that's me. That's all done. If you do need any help, feel free to reach out. If you just want to show over the fat, I do take on private customers from time to time. Not that many, but if you're interested, happy to hear from you. But don't hesitate to get in contact. Thank you very much for your attention.